Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a profound and unprecedented exploration of a hypothetical scenario that challenges the very core of geopolitical stability in South Asia. Today, we are embarking on an exhaustive, highly detailed analysis of a question that military strategists, defense analysts, and policymakers contemplate in the quiet, secure rooms of national defense establishments. The question we are asking today is, what will Bangladesh do if Dhaka is attacked? And critically, what exact weapons, strategies, and operational doctrines exist within the national arsenal to wage and survive such a war? Before we dive into the intricate details of mechanized infantry, surface-to-air missile umbrellas, and urban warfare doctrines, we must fundamentally understand the gravity of the premise. Dhaka is not just a capital city. It is the beating, hyperdense heart of a nation of over 170 million people. It is the economic engine of Bangladesh, the political nerve center, and the cultural soul of the Bengali people. To attack Dhaka is to attempt to decapitate the state itself. Therefore, the defense of Dhaka is synonymous with the survival of Bangladesh. In this comprehensive summary and introduction, we must first establish the geopolitical theater in which Bangladesh operates. Nestled strategically at the apex of the Bay of Bengal, surrounded almost entirely by India, sharing a crucial border with Myanmar to the southeast, Bangladesh occupies a profoundly sensitive geopolitical fault line. For decades, Bangladesh has championed a foreign policy built on the maxim of friendship to all and malice towards none. Yet, history and military science dictate that diplomacy without the backing of credible, potent deterrence is merely a wish. When we talk about an attack on Dhaka, we are not talking about a border skirmish. We are conceptualizing a catastrophic, high-intensity conflict that has breached the outer defenses of a nation and reached the megacity itself. A city of over 20 million people, characterized by narrow alleys, sprawling concrete jungles, vast river networks, and unimaginable human density. An attack here would instantly transform into one of the most complex, grueling, and apocalyptic urban battlefields in modern human history. It would be a nightmare for any invading force. But to ensure it remains a nightmare for the adversary, the Bangladesh Armed Forces have spent the last decade radically overhauling their capabilities under the ambitious modernization program known as Forces Goal 2030. This program has systematically transformed a traditional infantry-heavy defense force into a modernized, digitized, and increasingly mechanized military machine designed for active deterrence. In the hours to follow in this deep dive, we will meticulously dissect the layers of defense that an adversary would have to penetrate. We will explore the outer air defense rings, analyzing the exact radar systems, scanning the skies and the surface-to-air missile batteries, standing ready to intercept hostile aircraft and incoming cruise missiles. We will look at the sky wardens of the Bangladesh Air Force, the fighter squadrons whose sole mission would be to contest and secure the airspace over the capital. But wars are rarely won in the air alone. Should the conflict reach the ground, we will examine the formidable ground forces waiting in the plains and the urban sprawl. We will detail the specific main battle tanks, the light, agile armor procured specifically for the riverine terrain of Bengal, and the devastating rocket artillery capable of raining steel upon advancing enemy columns miles before they reach the city limits. Furthermore, we will delve into the harsh, uncompromising reality of urban warfare in a metropolis like Dhaka. How does a military defend a city where every building is a potential fortress, every alley a choke point, and every bridge a strategic vital ground? We will analyze the tactics of asymmetric warfare, the integration of paramilitary forces, the mobilization of the civilian population, and the sheer logistical mammoth task of sustaining a defense while managing the lives of millions of non-combatants trapped in a war zone. This is not merely a listing of military hardware. It is a profound analysis of a nation's will to survive, the psychological readiness of its armed forces, and the strategic calculus that makes the invasion of Dhaka a cost too high for any rational adversary to bear. The significance of this topic cannot be overstated. As the global world order shifts, as regional power dynamics in the Indo-Pacific and South Asia become increasingly volatile, understanding the defense posture of a rising economic power like Bangladesh is vital. The narrative of Bangladesh is often one of economic miracles, of booming garment industries, and of climate resilience. But beneath that narrative lies a quietly strengthening sword and shield. The arsenal is expanding, the The training is intensifying and the strategic vision is sharpening. If deterrence fails, the response will not be submission. It will be a coordinated, highly lethal, and unyielding defense of the motherland. This video will serve as your ultimate, comprehensive guide to that exact defense apparatus. We will leave no stone unturned, no weapon system unexamined, and no strategic doctrine unquestioned. Prepare yourselves for an unparalleled journey into the military mind of a nation preparing for the unthinkable, ensuring that if the dark clouds of war ever gather over the skies of Dhaka, the storm that follows will be met with a wall of fire, steel, and unbreakable resolve. Let us transition now from the overarching strategic landscape into our deep dive analysis. To understand what Bangladesh will do if Dhaka is attacked, we must build the battlefield layer by layer. The defense of a nation is never concentrated entirely in its capital. Defense begins at the borders, in the skies, and at sea. An attack reaching Dhaka implies that the outer defensive shells have been engaged, perhaps breached, or that the enemy is utilizing long-range standoff weapons and aerial bombardment. Therefore, the first and most critical layer of Dhaka's defense is the sky. The airspace over Bangladesh is monitored by an increasingly sophisticated network of early warning and ground-controlled interception radars. The Bangladesh Air Force has systematically upgraded its radar coverage, integrating modern solid-state, three-dimensional radars capable of tracking multiple targets, including low-flying aircraft and stealthy cruise missiles. When an attack is detected, the immediate response is coordinated from secure command and control centers deeply embedded and fortified. The initial kinetic response relies heavily on the surface-to-air missile umbrella. Bangladesh has invested significantly in short to medium-range air defense systems to protect vital strategic assets, with Dhaka being the absolute priority. We must look at systems like the FM-90 and HQ-7 short-range air defense systems. These are highly mobile, all-weather missile systems designed to engage fighter jets, attack helicopters, and precision-guided munitions. Positioned strategically around military cantonments, the international airport, and key government installations in Dhaka, these batteries form the point defense shield. Furthermore, the military arsenal includes a vast array of man-portable air defense systems, or MANPADS. These shoulder-fired missiles, deployed by infantry units spread across the city's rooftops and high-rise buildings, create a deadly, invisible web for any low-flying hostile aircraft attempting close air support or troop drops over the urban center. Simultaneously, the interceptors of the Bangladesh Air Force would scramble. The tip of the spear is the MiG-29 highly maneuverable twin-engine fighter aircraft designed for air superiority. Upgraded to remain potent in modern combat, these jets will be tasked with intercepting incoming bombers and fighter sweeps. Supporting them are the fleets of modernized F-7 series fighters, specifically the F-7BGI variants, which provide a capable, cost-effective mass to the air defense strategy. While the Air Force may face numerical disadvantages against larger regional powers, their doctrine would likely shift to asymmetrical air defense, preserving assets, conducting ambush tactics in the air, and relying heavily on the integrated ground-based air defense network to create a denied airspace over Dhaka. But what happens when the attack is not just from the air? What happens if hostile ground forces, having pushed through the border defenses, approach the sprawling outskirts of the capital? This is where the Bangladesh Army, the largest and most heavily armed branch of the military, executes its defensive doctrines. The geography of Bangladesh is unique. It is a colossal river delta. For an invading mechanized force, the rivers, marshes, and flooded plains are a logistical nightmare. The Bangladesh Army uses this geography as a weapon. Under Forces Goal 2030, the Army recognized that heavy, traditional main battle tanks are often too cumbersome for the muddy, riverine terrain. Therefore, they procured the VT-5 light tank. This is a highly advanced, heavily armed, yet lightweight platform capable of traversing soft terrain and crossing bridges that would collapse under the weight of heavier armor. These light tanks would act as rapid reaction forces, striking at the flanks of advancing enemy columns. However, heavy armor still plays a crucial role. The Army fields the MBT-2000 and the upgraded Type 59G Durjoy tanks. These heavier assets will be positioned at strategic choke points, major highway intersections, and the approaches to the vital bridges connecting Dhaka to the rest of the country. But tank-on-tank warfare is only one facet. The true devastation would be unleashed by the artillery corps. Bangladesh has massively upgraded its artillery capabilities, moving from towed guns to highly mobile shoot-and-scoop platforms. The Nora B 52 self-propelled howitzers offered devastating 155 millimeters firepower with rapid mobility to avoid counter-battery fire. Even more terrifying for an advancing enemy are the multiple launch rocket systems, or MLRS. The arsenal boasts the WS-22 and the heavily destructive TR-300 Tiger systems. These rocket systems have the range to strike deep into enemy staging areas, obliterating supply lines, forward operating bases, and mass troop formations long before they can even see the skyline of Dhaka. A coordinated barrage from these systems would turn the highways leading to the capital into corridors of fire. As the hypothetical enemy approaches the city limits, the nature of the war changes drastically. We enter the realm of urban combat, famously known as the Great Equalizer. Dhaka is a megacity of unparalleled density. Taking and holding Dhaka would require an occupying force of unimaginable size, and the casualty rate for the attacker would be astronomical. The Bangladesh Army's infantry battalions, deeply familiar with their own streets, would transition to urban defense tactics. The modern infantryman in the Bangladesh Army is equipped with advanced anti-tank guided missiles, such as the Metis-M and Cornet systems. These weapons, capable of destroying modern tanks from miles away, will be fired from countless windows, balconies, and rooftops of the city. Every intersection becomes a kill zone. Every narrow alleyway becomes a trap. Furthermore, we must factor in the asymmetrical and paramilitary forces. The Border Guard Bangladesh, while primarily a border security force, is heavily armed and trained as a secondary defense line. The Rapid Action Battalion, highly trained in urban operations and counterterrorism, would immediately transition into specialized urban combat units, targeting enemy command and control elements, securing vital infrastructure, and conducting ambushes. The sheer manpower of these combined forces, fighting on their home turf, defending their families and their capital, introduces a psychological and tactical element that no advanced weaponry can easily overcome. The enemy would not just be fighting the uniform, they will be fighting the city itself. The logistics of supplying an invading army inside Dhaka, facing constant ambushes, severed supply lines, and a hostile population of over 20 million people, would break the back of almost any modern military apparatus. The defense strategy also heavily involves infrastructure denial. Bangladesh is a land of bridges. The mighty Padma, Meghna, and Jamuna rivers are crossed by massive, critical bridges. In a dire scenario, a scorched earth policy regarding key bridges could temporarily sever the capital from advancing heavy armor, forcing the enemy to rely on slow, vulnerable amphibious crossings or pontoon bridges, making them sitting ducks for artillery and air strikes. The command structure would decentralize. Knowing that a centralized command center in the capital is a prime target for bunker-busting munitions, the military operations would shift to highly secure, redundant, and dispersed command nodes, ensuring that the defense remains coordinated even if the capital's central infrastructure is severely damaged. We must also critically examine the role of the Bangladesh Navy. While a naval force does not directly fight in the streets of Dhaka, its role in the overall defense is paramount. The Navy's submarines and surface combatants, armed with anti-ship missiles, act as a massive deterrent in the Bay of Bengal by threatening enemy sea lines of communication and preventing an amphibious assault or a naval blockade. The Navy ensures that the country's southern flank is secure, preventing the enemy from opening a multi-front war that would stretch the defenders of Dhaka too thin. This holistic approach to national defense, tying the sea to the sky to the urban streets, is the very essence of modernized military doctrine Bangladesh has been quietly perfecting. As we pull back from a tactical minutiae of urban ambushes and missile ranges, we arrive at the profound and final reflections of this extensive analysis. What we have detailed today is a blueprint for national survival. The overarching theme of the Bangladesh Armed Forces modernization, the billions spent on radar systems, light tanks, and rocket artillery, is not rooted in a desire for conquest or regional hegemony. It is fundamentally rooted in the ancient, unyielding principle: if you want peace, prepare for war. The arsenal we have explored is designed to be a deterrent so terrifyingly costly to confront that an attack on Dhaka remains permanently relegated to the realm of theoretical exercises. However, wars are not fought by machines alone. They are fought by human beings. And any analysis of Bangladesh's defense must acknowledge the profound historical and psychological context of the Bengali people. This is a nation born from the ashes of one of the most brutal conflicts of the 20th century. The Liberation War of 1971 is not just a chapter in a history book. It is a foundational DNA of the nation and its military. The understanding of asymmetric warfare, the resilience to endure unimaginable hardship, and the absolute refusal to surrender sovereignty are deeply ingrained in the national consciousness. An adversary looking at the tactical map of Dhaka must also weigh the immeasurable variable of a population that has historically demonstrated a willingness to pay the ultimate price for its freedom. The defense of Dhaka, therefore, is a combination of modern steel and historical resolve. It is the surface-to-air missiles locking onto targets in the dead of night. It is the artillery batteries shaking the earth, and it is the infantrymen holding the line in the concrete labyrinth of the city. We have journeyed through the geopolitical necessity of this defense, dissected the specific weapon systems across all domains of warfare, and confronted the grueling reality of urban combat in a megacity. This comprehensive deep dive was designed to elevate the conversation beyond simple headlines and provide you a masterclass in modern defensive military strategy as applied to one of the most unique and densely populated landscapes on Earth. I want to thank you, the viewers, for staying with me through this incredibly detailed and extensive journey. Analyzing the mechanics of war is a sobering task, but understanding the mechanisms of deterrence is essential for understanding how peace is maintained in our complex global era. If you found this deep dive analysis informative, if it provided you with a new perspective on the strategic realities of South Asia and the military capabilities of Bangladesh, I strongly encourage you to engage with this content. Please hit the like button, as it helps this extensive research reach a wider audience. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss our future in-depth documentary-style analyses of global military strategies and geopolitical flashpoints. I also want to hear from you. The defense of a megacity is a complex, debatable topic. Take to the comments section below. What aspect of the arsenal do you think is the most critical? Do you believe the current trajectory of Force's Goal 2030 is sufficient for the challenges of the coming decades? Let us foster a highly intelligent, respectful, and analytical debate down below. Until next time, stay informed, stay analytical, and thank you for watching.